Quick content warning. If you aren't familiar with the John Wick movies, there's going to be some kind of brutal kills shown in this video. Henchmen are a staple of the action genre. Whether it's stormtroopers, battle droids, enemy soldiers, bodyguards, robots, militarized dream projections, orcs, zombies, aliens, fascists, or dozens of Hugo Weavings, most action movies tend to feature a bunch of faceless, nameless bad guys for heroes to fight. But there's no action series that gives as much respect to henchmen as the John Wick movies. I'm Wessman, and this is an interior analysis of John Wick. Regardless of what kind of henchmen are featured in any given movie, they all operate under the same basic logic. They show up in large numbers to stop the main characters from accomplishing their goal, but usually don't pose much of a threat. One punch, one shot, one swing of a sword, and they're down. They're also treated as inherently evil, or at least evil by association, to the point that we aren't usually meant to think of them as human. This is why it's common for henchmen to be non-human creatures or robots. When they are humans, they're often turned into empty shells like zombies, or they're part of a group that is generally agreed to be evil like fascists or terrorists. This dehumanizing and demonizing is meant to make us more okay with the fact that the heroes kill dozens or sometimes hundreds of them over the course of a movie. The only time henchmen are treated as actual characters is with a sub-archetype that I call the advisor. That's just my own term. If you can think of a better one, let me know in the comments. But if you've seen enough older Disney animated movies, you know the kind of character I'm talking about. Advisors are the villain's servant or sidekick or hype man that's usually there for comic relief. In action movies, they're usually the last person the hero has to kill before facing the villain. They can still count as henchmen, but I bring them up just to put a limit on who I'm talking about when I use the word henchman in this video. So why are henchmen here? Well, their primary function is to be an obstacle to the hero, but on an intuitive level, they make both the hero and the villain seem more powerful. The villain commands a ton of minions for one reason or another, and so are more practically powerful. But our hero is so skilled and awesome in Tom Cruise that when they clean dozens of these guys with minimal injury, it makes them seem more powerful. And let's just take a second to appreciate how disrespectful this is to henchmen. Their only job is to kill the hero, and yet they never do. We essentially never see them be successful at the thing they're hired to do. Like, these guys probably have training. They probably have really good aim. And this is where John Wick transcends other action movies. The henchmen in these movies are a force to be reckoned with. These henchmen are skilled and they're relentless. They may not be as powerful as John Wick, but some of them are pretty damn close, and a couple are even good enough that they come back for a second round. A lot of times he can't just deal with them in one punch or one shot. He can get them off his back for a few seconds with a good combo move, but they're a threat until they're dead and not a moment before. This is why the series has so many headshots in it. John Wick can't stop these guys just by hurting them. And even if we know that the henchmen won't kill John Wick, they can still land hits and inflict injuries that he has to deal with in later fights. There's also a decent amount of time given to focus on the motivation of these henchmen. I don't usually vibe with the MCU's sense of humor, but I've always appreciated this joke from Iron Man 3.
Honestly, I hate working here. They are so weird.
It's a rare moment that acknowledges that there's usually not a good reason for henchmen to risk their lives to kill the hero. Some of the fights in the John Wick series don't bother giving any motivation to the henchmen beyond just doing their job. But I think some of the best scenes come when there's a price put on John's head, because the skill level and motivation of the henchmen is higher. One of my favorite sections of this series is the hour before John becomes excommunicado. The second movie ends with John running through Central Park looking anxiously at all the people around him, because in less than an hour, any one of them might try to kill him. This scene works as an amazing cliffhanger for the third movie, because we know the caliber of people who are out for his blood and how screwed he is, and it adds a great tension to the beginning of the third movie as he's preparing for the army that's about to come after him. But the biggest result of all this is that it makes the fight scenes more engaging to watch. Going back to the core purpose of henchmen, they're an obstacle. Making the henchmen more powerful makes them a far more difficult obstacle to overcome, and a far more interesting obstacle to see John Wick face. Which also amplifies one of the other main functions of henchmen, making the hero seem more powerful. At an objective level, Neo from The Matrix is way more powerful than John Wick. But if those two Keanu Reeves characters faced off against each other, my money would probably be on John Wick. Because even when Neo fights 50 Agent Smiths at once in The Matrix Reloaded, they don't seem like that big of a threat. Now, if all 50 of them were as strong as Agent Smith in the first Matrix, that would be a different story. The plot of nearly all action movies require that the hero survives at least 90% of the movie, and we as the audience are subconsciously aware of the plot armor around them in any given action scene. but the John Wick series is a testament to how any action scene can still have a lot of dramatic weight if respect is given to whoever the hero is fighting. I would like to see more respect given to henchmen in other ways than this as well. I think there's some untapped potential in action movies for reworking the henchman archetype into an interesting character that we haven't seen before.
You know, it wasn't my idea to plunge your siblings to their deaths.
Henchmen.
Well, every career path has its drawbacks. Oftentimes, if you want to do theater, you end up in a life of crime instead.
No juice.
With action movies being what they are, I'm not really expecting anything like that to happen. But I think it could be realistic for other action movies to follow in the footsteps of John Wick, and at least respect henchmen in ways that elevate the action. I've never gone into a movie hoping to see some really great henchman fights. But for John Wick 4, the henchman fights are the sole reason that it's one of my most anticipated movies of this year. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that. If you want to hear me and my co-host talk more about John Wick, we just did an episode talking about the whole trilogy on our Patreon, and we'll probably do an episode on the fourth one once we all see it. So that and some other bonus episodes are available for $1 a month, and the link for that is in the description. You can find a bunch of our other podcasts and video essays here on our YouTube channel and on any podcast app. So let us know in the comments what you want out of John Wick 4 and what some other movies that you want us to cover are, either on the podcast or in videos. And if you like this, do all the like, share, subscribe things that the algorithm likes. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.